right here, right now. We're actually going to start this week's episode with the song of the week, and it is Right Here, Right Now by Fatboy Slim. Hi, my name is Samra Abu-Selby. I'm the host of this show, Super Awesome You. You can find more of this show's content at Super Awesome You on Instagram. And if you haven't already, please take a moment and leave a 5-star review. It really helps encourage other people to hit play and hopefully be a little bit more super awesome themselves. So, this week's topic is all about the present moment. This week, I've been reflecting a lot about my own goals and all the various things I want to get done. And if you're like me, there are a lot of things. Sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming when you write down all the things you hope for yourself and want to accomplish, especially as we near the end of this year and we might look back at the goals we set for ourselves back in January and reflect on how far we've come or maybe how we haven't done as much as we hoped. Whenever we project out into the future, it can be very easy to freeze and to get overwhelmed and to then feel like you don't want to do anything at all. The reason for that is our brains are really good at projecting into the future. It's part of what makes our species so powerful as an animal on this planet. We can basically picture ourselves doing something in the future. We can picture what tomorrow might look like, what a year might look like from now. We're not often right, but we can imagine those things. And in the process of imagination, we can work things out. And sometimes we get stuck. And the reason we get stuck is because it's like kind of a shock to our system sometimes to go so far out into the future and you play the movie really, really fast at a very high speed. And you can just feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so far away from that dream of mine. And you'll just freeze. Whenever I started my weight loss journey a couple years ago, I was so over the weight that I'm supposed to be at and feel healthiest at, and the weight that I had been at most of my life, that the journey down back to that weight honestly felt like it wasn't even worth pursuing. Because I just imagined how every single day of my life I would need to make choices of eating well, exercising, moving a little bit more than I'm used to, turning down desserts that I started to eat on a regular basis, and all these other various choices that would be required for me to start to shed some pounds. And it really did feel like a mountain that I was never going to be able to climb. It's like staring up at Mount Kilimanjaro and you're not even a step towards it, right? Like you are truly at the base of this thing and your brain can just kind of lock up and say, nope, none for me. And you want to walk away and then no change occurs. So that's why this week's song of the week is Right Here, Right Now, because it's a really good reminder that the future will take care of itself if you worry about the present moment right now. There's nothing that we can do in the future. We can only project ourselves in the future in our mind, but we can't make those decisions in the future because we can only exist in this moment now. Until someone figures out time travel and we all move around time in the, like a fifth dimension in the Tesseract, similar to the ending of a movie, we basically are stuck in the now. But one of the beautiful things of being right here, right now, is that you are enabled to make decisions. And those decisions will add up over a course of your lifetime. And before you know it, honestly, truly before you know it, you will have crested that mountain and you'll be standing right at the top and you'll be looking down instead of looking up. And it will send chills down your spine because you'll just be so amazed at how far you came. And you will remember that moment when you thought, oh my gosh, this felt insurmountable, but look at me now and look how far I've come. But that's only possible if whenever you are projecting to the future and you start to feel a little bit of panic and you start to want to freeze up, bring yourself all the way back, hit rewind on that videotape in your mind. I've dated myself here talking about videotapes, but bring yourself all the way back, use the scrubber on your iPhone. How about that? It's a little bit more modern. And just imagine, okay, what can I do right in this moment? Because life really is a series of small decisions, as I've said before. And those small decisions really do add up. There's an analogy that I've heard in a meditation app called Calm. Really, really enjoy that app, and I love this analogy, and it's stuck with me all these years. And it goes something like this. If a plane were to take off from Paris heading towards San Francisco, it's a very, very long flight. I actually not sure if there's any directs between Paris and San Francisco, but stick with me. Let's imagine that a plane can actually make it that far. If that plane were to change its course even a half or even a quarter% degree, it would end up in a very dramatically different place over that flight. And the reason for it is because it is traveling such a long distance that even the smallest little tweak to its flight path would send it way off course. So what does the computer that's controlling the guidance system or the pilot need to do? They need to constantly make corrections because of the wind, because of the different, pressures at the altitudes, because of clouds, all storms, all these different things, constantly making these little micro adjustments to make sure that it stays on its planned course. Because otherwise it would just end up somewhere completely random, honestly, over that enormous amount of distance. That's basically life. We set a destination in our mind. We set that goal of where we want to go, but then we can't just let it go. We have to constantly be making those little micro adjustments, those small decisions to make sure that we are on that path to end up where we want to be. So as long as you are focused on the right here and right now, you will get there. I promise you, you will get there. It's going to feel really frustratingly slow. It's going to feel like nothing is happening. It's kind of like what we talked about whenever you put a glass of warm water into a freezer. For the first hour, like it literally looks like nothing is happening. But behind the scenes, that water is cooling down. It's getting nearing that freezing point. And then all of a sudden, it's a block of ice. That's what you need to trust in. Trust in the process, trust in those small decisions, and let some time pass while you do that. And you will arrive at that frozen block of ice. You will arrive at the top of the mountain. You will arrive at San Francisco. Pick your metaphor, but I promise you're going to get there. So that's why that is the song of the week. Not only that, to be honest, it's a great song. I actually got recently back into Fatboy Slim and old 90s EDM music. There's like a treasure trove of great songs from the 90s in the EDM genre. I feel like it was really starting to pick up then. And Fatboy Slim is one of the early ones for sure. So really enjoy that song, and it does have like a motivating feel for me. I hope that as you stare out into your future and think about all the goals and everything that you want to do, that you don't lock up, that you can bring yourself back to this present moment and always ask yourself, what can I do today? What can I do right now that's going to get me even an inch closer to where I want to be in a year or 2 or 5 or 10? I hope you have a super awesome week as always, and I will see you next Tuesday.